Welcome to the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. Join Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, America's family coaches, who bring 4 decades of empowering marriages across the U.S. and internationally for this podcast to equip you and your partner with encouragement and tools for a great marriage. Here now are your hosts, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
Barbie, is it even possible that we've been married 50 years?
It really is by the numbers, but it doesn't feel like it. It seems just like yesterday.
And I remember at the rehearsal dinner, or the rehearsal at the church, I think your brother got in before I did to give you the news, but I just tried on my tuxedo. Dr. Morris was there with us, and he was my family doctor and our family's best friend, lived down the street. And I'm trying on my tux, and all the men in my family and Dr. Ken are standing there. And Dr. Ken starts chuckling. And he said, Gary, he said, I have something to tell you. And somebody leaned forward and said, are those hives? And he said, those aren't hives. You have the measles. And so the day before our wedding, we found out I had the measles. And I remember Dorkola. I mean, what kind of dork has the measles? And I think your mom said she planned for everything but the measles.
Yeah, who would plan for the measles? I remember thinking, is this a sign from God? But it took. It was a great marriage.
Oh, yeah. No, the wedding took, girlfriend. We're married, making all this sick. But think about that. That was 50 years ago.
And who do you know that had the measles during their dress rehearsal and at the wedding?
And we thought in some ways that would be the most traumatic thing that ever happened. And you know what? Our world was just beginning together. And I just remember thinking, good night. I mean, how are we going to handle this? What's the implication of this? And is life going to be like this? And so 50 years later, we're going to kind of look in the rearview mirror and not tell our story so much, but we want to talk about what we would tell our 23-year-old selves if we knew then what we know now, to try to help couples, whether you've been married a year, maybe you're getting married, you've been married 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, probably not 50. But we just want to speak into you, love on you, put you on our shoulders, and just share some of the stuff. I guess it's called wisdom. I got gray hair. Barb's color. I don't know, what color is your hair?
Oh, it's very blonde today.
Well, yeah. We pay for that, but I mean, I don't know what color it really is.
Well, why no?
I don't know, Barbie. I don't know what color hair.
I don't know either.
Okay.
But it's part of the mystery of marriage.
Oh, it's a mystery.
And so today on the program, we really have been married 50 years, and you blink.
June 7th.
One day you're eating wedding cake. The next day, like us, we have 2 daughters, 2 adult married daughters, and 9 plus 3 bonus brother grandchildren. So we have 12. And we are so grateful. But, we're going to give you some insight as to what we have learned along the way. What was so fun this morning, usually Gary walks the dog in the morning.
And at night.
And at night.
And in the middle of the day.
During the middle of the day. So today I said, I'll walk the dog.
I couldn't believe it. It was like nirvana.
I know. So it's kind of like I learned it, and we'll do it again next week.
Yeah.
But I was walking down the street with the dog, and it's a beautiful day, and the sun's shining, and I'm just walking with Jesus in my heart. And I see this young mother pushing a baby carriage across the street, going the opposite way. And yesterday, that was me. Yesterday, I had a brand new baby. Yesterday, I was 23 years old. And I looked at this girl across the street that's never seen me before in my life. And I said to her, your baby is the most important work in your entire life. Mm-hmm. In fact, on those days that you feel inadequate, you feel like you don't make any contribution, you must know this is your greatest work. And then I said, your baby is sacred, and don't ever forget it. And she goes, oh, how did you know? I needed to hear this. It's not like she's old enough to write me a thank you note. And I said, she won't until after she's married. And so we laughed, and she said, thank you for making my day. And I thought, I wanted to say, thank you, Lord, because for me, having babies was probably, next to you, Gary, the greatest gift that I could ever have. And so today on the program, I'm not holding back. I'm going to give you some wisdom because I'm old enough to really say it and be unfiltered. And some of you might be saying, I've been waiting for it. And others of you may write letters and say, I'm not with you. This is my wisdom for this day of being married 50 years to this beautiful husband who's seated beside me.
In a rather pinkish sweater,
and
because
we do match.
At my stage of life, you get to wear anything you want,
and you've got little turquoise in there, so we're kind of we're not
Barb,
matching.
You bought this for me. I have no idea.
I
do what you tell me.
It was your gift for your birthday, one of many. Boy, I've got great taste, and a man, and also in the clothing. But years ago, Gary and I spoke at Weekend to Remember. And I would do the mom talk in the morning. Mm-hmm. And one of my very favorite authors is Irma Bombeck. Now, many of you go, who's Irma Bombeck? Well, you're going to find out. She was a great writer. And I'm going to quote something that she wrote a number of years ago. And someone asked her, if you had your life to do over again, would you do anything different? And she said, no. And then she said, I would. And this is how she begins. She said, if I had my life to live over again, I would have waxed less and listened more instead of wishing away. 9 months of pregnancy and complaining about the shadow over my feet. I cherished every minute of it and realized that the wonderment growing inside of me was to be the only chance in life to assist God in a miracle. I would have never insisted the car windows be rolled up on a summer day because my hair had just been teased and sprayed. I did that last weekend. I would have invited friends over to dinner even if the carpet was stained and the sofa faded. I would have eaten popcorn in the good living room and worried less about the dirt when you lit the fireplace. I would have taken the time to listen to my grandfather ramble about his youth, such as what we're doing today. I would have burnt the pink candle that was sculptured like a rose before it melted before being stored. I would have sat cross-legged on the lawn with my children and never worried about grass stains. I would have cried and laughed less while watching television and more while watching real life. I would have shared more of the responsibility carried by my husband, which I took for granted.
Like walking
the dog. I was we have great minds. I was going to say the same thing. I would have eaten less cottage cheese, although I love cottage cheese, especially Anderson, Erickson cottage cheese, and more ice cream. They make really good ice cream too. I would have never bought anything just because it was practical, wouldn't show soil guaranteed to last a lifetime. When my child kissed me impetuously, I would have never said, later, now go get washed up for dinner. There would have been more I love yous, more I'm sorries, more I'm listening, but mostly, given another shot at life, I would seize every minute of it, look at it and really see it, try it on, live it, exhaust it, and never give that minute back until there was nothing left to give of it. That's Irma Bombeck. Mindfulness.
If I had my life to live over again.
That's what it's called. Now we're both crying. But you know what? Mindfulness. First thing I want to encourage you to do is live mindfully. What's that mean? Keep your head over where your feet are and embrace your immediacy of where you're living right now. Yeah. Breathe it in, breathe it out. Use all of your senses. Experience. Is it a warm day? How are you feeling? Don't let the regrets of yesterday try to pull you in because you can't do it a darn thing about it. And don't get so anxious about tomorrow that you're trying to live out of your body, trying to solve all the problems, because tomorrow you'll be given the wisdom that you need for the day. Live mindfully with your head over your feet. What else, Gary?
Well, Barb, we're going to list stuff. I mean, we're just going to kind of pepper this because regardless of where you're at, what stage of marriage you're at, whether it's going well, whether you're struggling, we all live with this sense of putting blinders on, and all we can see is what's before us right now. And many times we lose hope, we lose encouragement, and so we just get mired down into this stuff. So we're going to speak into you as if we're speaking into ourselves all those years ago. And you've hit some of the great ones. We want to make sure we just land on the most important one of all, and that is that a marriage is a relationship of three, with Jesus Christ right in the midst of your marriage. You know, Barbie, when I fell in love with you and started to talk about marriage.
Wait, which time?
Yeah, well.
No, at the very beginning. Sorry.
And I wasn't a Christian yet. And I remember sitting on that stoop and I started to unpack my love for you. And you laughed and just said, I can't marry you. I want to marry a godly man. And I remember thinking and saying, I think, you're going to reject me for somebody you can't see? I mean, you've been a Christian for a couple months, but girlfriend, you drew a line in the sand and it was like there was no turning back for you. And people have said, you know, Rosberg, is that what led you to Christ? Well, partially so, because, you know, I was like a bird dog on point with Barb, but I knew that you loved somebody more than me. And so speaking into our 23-year-old selves, it would be to put Christ right where he belongs, and that in that imminent place as Lord and Savior, and where you are surrendering to him and walking with him and accessing the power of the Holy Spirit. And I think a second thing I would do, Barb, is to love big. Love big. I mean, every day is a gift. Don't love small, love big. I mean, let it just flow out of you. We took ballroom dancing a few years ago, and the guy said that the woman in ballroom dancing is the picture and the man is the frame.
Oh, say that again?
Yeah, I was going to say, you like that one, didn't you?
My ears aren't working. Run it by me again.
Yeah, the woman is the picture and the man is the frame. So the goal of the man in ballroom dancing is just to frame the woman, because, you know, that gym guy that was teaching us said, nobody's looking at the guy. They're looking at the woman. And so when the man is just in the proper position, leading her and serving her and really bringing out all of her glory, you are the picture, Barbie. And you were 50 some years ago and you are today. And so loving big, don't hold back. Loving the big things, loving the small things.
I'm going to respond to that, because as we, as women, feel deeply loved in our relationship, it's so easy to love back. If you truly listen to your wife, her dreams, if you are with her, you're willing to maybe not fully understand her, but to try to connect to her and give her the time, give her the hug, give her a listening ear, she'll do anything for you. She really will.
Give her the American Express card.
And
I mean,
Visa and MasterCard. But
no,
I'm joking. But the reality is this: she will be more and more beautiful as you are devoted, and she will respond. If you treat your wife as a queen, she will surely treat you as a king. So what else would you add? Because I'm thinking of a few things.
No, I'm sure you're. Another one I would add is take risks. I mean, just take risks. You know, I think at the end of life, and we're sure not there, we pray, but at the end of life, you're not going to so much think about what didn't work. You're going to think about what you didn't try. So be willing to take risk and be willing to fail and be willing to realize that that doesn't make you a failure. It just means that something didn't work. And now you get up, you dust it off. And husbands, speaking to your wife, very importantly, wife speaking to your husbands, because when the guy misfires and we misfire, that we need to know that we're not alone and we're not going to be isolated and that we're not a failure. Something just didn't work. Take the risks and try new things in all areas. And as you do that, embrace all that life has to give to you.
So I'm going to, you said the word speak and it jumped out. Speak life. over your husband, and guys, speak life over your wife. This is a two-way reciprocal relationship. Both of you have amazing value before the Lord. The reality is our words are so powerful. And if today we are speaking to you and we're representing a 23-year-old type of youth that we would speak into, one thing I would say is this: gals, watch who your friends are, because some of your friends may speak poorly of their husbands. They may gossip about their husbands. And there have been times you think, are they slandering their husbands? And I was praying about this area over someone recently, and it hit me. The outside is gossip. The outside is criticism. But at the core, a woman doesn't feel loved. And so what is she doing? She doesn't know it. She's cursing her husband. Gals, if you have said anything that has hurt your husband, maybe during a time he made a mistake or a failure, or, by the way, who hasn't, men and women together, but take it to God, he's the perfect place to confess it. Tell him you want to change your ways, and you want to speak wholesome words over your husband, to feed him, to speak life into him, to believe in him. So all of that to say, choose women in your life that understand who they are in Christ. Pick friends in your life that speak positive. They truly believe these things, that wholesome words, building up words, grace-filled words, words of blessing and not curses over their husbands. Because if I give you 5 years with them, you'll end up just like them, unless you understand the power of words.
I think another thing I would tell our 23-year-old selves is work hard, but don't take yourself too seriously. So take breaks and slow down and embrace life. Barbie, just before I came into the podcast studio, I was at a luncheon with a bunch of nonprofits, 80 nonprofits. And I was walking out, and there were 3 women, probably in their, 30s, and they were walking out at about the same time. And I backed up and I held the door. And, they said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I said, well, old school, things die hard. It's just kind of what we do.
And we love it.
Yeah. And then they were walking, and I was kind of walking kind of parallel to the car, and they were engaged in discussion. And here's what one of the women said. She said, yes, it really costs us a lot, and it's really sacrificial. And I don't know what they were talking about. And then the other one said, you know what, if I could do it all over again, I would do it and would have tried that. And I thought, I don't know if they were talking about, Christian education, putting their kids in schools. I don't know if they were talking about working and not working.
Buying a boat.
Yeah, whatever it was. I mean, they were saying they're living sacrificially and it's worth it. And the one was saying, if I could do it over again. And I didn't want to jump in and say, hey, we're doing a podcast in a few minutes, and didn't want to jump in and say, we're marriage coaches. I didn't want to intrude on that. But I thought about this program. You know what? You may be in a place and you're going full throttle. I go full throttle. I mean, I get full throttle.
You sure do.
Yeah. And however, back off, take your foot off the gas, allow yourself to take breaks, to slow down, to reframe it, to maybe kind of redefine what success is, and realize that if the home front isn't secure and solid and paid attention to, and you're skipping vacations, you're working on Sundays, you're violating God's design for the Sabbath. I mean, there's so many examples of this. Intend to pull back and invest and connect to your spouse and to your kids and grandkids when you have those. Probably don't have many at 23, but invest in them. Slow down. Take a break.
That's great. That really is.
So thank you. I wrote that, Barbie.
But you know what? We learned from it. We learned.
Oh my gosh. Because I worked really hard and I didn't always pull the throttle back.
And that's all we knew.
Yeah.
And your personality was gifted with excitement and passion and drivenness.
Yeah.
And calling.
There was calling in
but
there.
I don't think at 23 we knew how to put the brakes on.
No, we didn't.
And so just consider these words of wisdom. And ask your spouse, maybe you as a woman are more driven. Ask your spouse, how are you doing with my amount of work? How are we doing? Do I have any blind spots? And at least muddle through it together.
That's risky.
It is risky, but it's good. And it's so good for your marriage. And we learned during those times that God was taking us deeper. Not that it was easy, it was really hard. But somehow I had the hope in my heart. I thought, we're going through things nobody else is going through. And it was hardship. But I knew God planted in me that God was going to use it and purpose it for something bigger than just us, to help many people. I had no idea what that meant. I have something else. You wrote this, but I'm going to expand it. You ready?
Yeah.
You wrote down, I think you were taking notes on me, actually. Listen to your heart and listen to your head and listen to your gut. And if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right.
Yeah,
now,
good.
I'm going to quote Henry Winkler because I read his autobiography. Remember the Fonz? No, some of you don't. Why? Because you're 23. 23. You've never watched it. Great reruns. Henry Winkler said in his autobiography, listen to your tummy. It doesn't lie to you. We can logically talk ourselves into things. Sometimes our spouses are well-intended and they can talk us into things. And I know that there have been times I've gone along with things because I thought, well, I want to defer. I love my husband. I trust. And that's all really good. But there have been times it's worked out beautifully. There have also been times that my gut cannot get changed. Your gut is connected to your brain through the spinal cord. And so if that part of your brain is working, that is only measured through the gut. Listen to your gut. If it's different than your spouse, their opinion, their desire, both of you, I encourage you, both of you to pray about whatever the decision is. Both of you hold or pause on the decision until you are unified and you both have the same answer. Because marriage is about not only he and me, but it's really team we. And Gary and I coined team we because it's really for the greater goal of what is best for our marriage as we go forward.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, Barbie,
Thanks
that's
for putting it in the notes.
I put it in the notes, but you expanded. I think another one, and Barbie really sets the pace for this in our marriage. Be kind to one another, be kind to others, and be kind to yourself. I mean, you're like some fairy dust woman or something. I mean, we walk into a store. I mean, you walking down the street, and in our next podcast, I think you're going to talk about the guy you met walking down the street today. I mean, go walk that dog, girlfriend. I mean, because you're out there spreading joy around and putting fairy dust on everything.
I'll take the Visa card instead.
But be kind. And I don't, I'm not being a weirdo when I'm saying that. Be kind to yourself. Certainly be kind to your spouse. Be kind to other people. And I think we've talked about this in other podcasts. It's being a balcony person. That I know when you see Barbie Rosberg coming, you know you're going to get blessed. Now, when you see me coming, I don't know what you're going to think. But when you see Barbie coming, you're going to get blessed. I mean, I've lived with her for 50 years. You're going to get blessed because that's what she does. She just pours out blessing because you have the gift of exhortation and encouragement and edification and wisdom.
Well, thank you.
And you're doggone good looking. And you got a lot of gifts.
I haven't done it well for 50 years, but I have learned.
No, you've done it.
And I have been shaped by not doing it well.
Yeah.
And I have been shaped by others who have been unkind, not gracious. And I thank God for every one of those experiences in my life. I do. And I will say this, that truly make Jesus your best friend. I heard Pat Boone. Some of you are going, who's Pat Boone? He was doing an interview.
Debbie Boone's dad.
I know.
Who's Debbie Boone?
Who's Debbie Boone? Yeah. And he's like in his 90s. And he said something like, make God your agent. Well, make God the Lord and ask him to lead and guide you everywhere. I don't need, you've heard this expression of a queen's table. I have a queen's table. And I only invite those that are kind, like-minded, use only wholesome words out of their mouth, and speak highly. And I figure that we're just going to feed off of one another. That's who my table is. It's a very small table because I can't maintain a lot of friendships. I need Jesus Christ as my friend, my best friend. I need Gary as my best friend here on earth. My daughters are my best friends. My grandchildren are my best friends. But again, we need to have that core of people that are taking us higher, are taking us to a new level. And it's a table of grace. So if you haven't discovered that, we're all just walking it out. I'm walking it out myself. So grace and peace and kindness.
Yeah, and be quick to forgive, I think, is another one. Years ago, I think you read something or heard something, and you said the most godly person is the one who forgives first.
Oh, I think I wrote it.
Yeah. Oh, you did? And so
No, I didn't.
So when I wake up in the morning, I just say,
know.
I'm sorry. I try to get as many of those in as I can. But, Barb, to be quick to forgive.
Yeah.
As God forgives us.
Mm-hmm.
And when you initiate that, and it doesn't mean just go from the offense to forgiveness. So we've written a whole book on healing the hurt in your marriage and the process of resolving conflict. But when you are quick to forgive, I think what it means is you set the course of humility. You set the course of desiring to reconcile. You set the course of allowing things to be let go. I mean, you set the stage for that. It's in your temperament. It's in essentially your humility, your willingness to humble yourself and to allow God to be glorified and to elevate the relationship over that issue. And so be quick to forgive.
I think too, Gary, that we got to give God all the glory for that, because aren't you just miserable when you don't forgive somebody? Aren't you just miserable the way you keep going back to it and back on it and keep feeding? It's like you're dripping thoughts of they did this and they did that. And all of a sudden, guess what? You've got a big opening for the enemy of God. He not only has unforgiveness that he's tackling you with, but through that doorway of unforgiveness, it becomes bitterness, resentment, anger, isolation, depression. Now, you really want to hang out with all of those ugly things? I don't. So yesterday, I was in the car driving, and I said, "Oh Lord, I've got to forgive somebody." And I named who it was, and I thought, "Oh, this is so hard to do. Logically, I want to do it. Emotionally, I don't want to do it at all." But then I thought of the verse in Matthew chapter 11 that says, "Come unto me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart." And so, you know what I did? I lifted it up. I just lifted my arms as high as they could go, and I envisioned a basket. And I said, "Lord, I'm putting those I need to pray for, those that I really want to release and forgive in the basket, and I'll reach as high as I can, but you got to take it from there." And always, every time, within 24 hours, God takes it, and I experience the freedom. Forgiving someone that has hurt you doesn't mean you reconcile with them, but guess who gets free? You do. You get the joy back, the restored relationship with Jesus. You're no longer broken off, but you're filled with the Holy Spirit. Let God take care of all of his kids, all of them. You just stick to your closest best friend, God, and your spouse, I pray, and just walk it out with Jesus. So we've learned together we can trust Christ.
So there's a whole hodgepodge, kind of a smorgasbord of different things that we just listed, that if we could go back 50 years and
say to our 23-year-old selves,
and I would love to do life with you over again.
I know.
It's better than it's ever been.
I know.
Ever. And, it usually starts really good. Then it gets really hard. Then it kind of gets good again. Then it kind of gets hard again. And I'm thinking of decades, with you start off and you're all in la la land. And then, you got to buckle down because you're struggling and you're trying to pay the bills. And then those kids start popping and then, it gets really busy but then the kids start to leave and it gets kind of fun. And then your parents get old and then it gets kind of hard. And then there's illnesses or setbacks. And then for many people, they start to kind of move into this stage of life, and you're more reflective. I know I'm more reflective, and you think back and you wash over with, and then you come to these benchmark. I mean, good night, Barb. Our grandparents were married 50 years. I mean, for us to be married 50 years just seems so surreal. But I wish I could do it all over again. And I wish I could do it all over again with you.
I do too.
Because it gets better and better and better. And so if you're at a stage and you're going, I don't know if we can go forward.
Or this is really tough.
Yeah. Or I don't know if.
You might be thinking, I got a way out of here, or I have an alternate plan, or the grass is looking really better on the other side of the fence. Fight it and ask God, implore, give it up to God. Put your arms in the air and say, God, I can't do it alone. Yeah. I cannot do it alone.
Hang on.
Logically, I want to do it. Emotionally and spiritually, I need all the help in the world because this force is too dark for me. Ask Jesus to go before you and be your advocate, your defender, so you can finish your life purpose beside the person you ate wedding cake with, because there is no greater joy than being your wife.
Yeah.
50 years.
Baby, baby, baby. Stay hooked on me. That's what I got to say.
I am.
So blessings to you. Guard your hearts, you guys. We're so grateful that you tuned in. Listen to the podcast, share it, download it, rate it.
Only if it's really good.
Yeah, and let other people. I mean, our purpose for this is really just to love on you and encourage you and remind you you're not alone. We're your marriage coaches, and we are Dr. Gary and Barb Rosberg, and we'll see you next time.
And we're best friends.
Yeah.
Hey listeners, make sure to stay up to date with the Rosbergs by subscribing to their show, Your Marriage Coaches, on any major podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you will get an alert each time a new episode is released. Whatever platform you're listening on, please rate the podcast and leave us a review.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg. To find out more, go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Once you're there, you can check out the many resources that they have available. From their many books to their informative video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love, they've got all the tools you need to help you grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse and with God. Go to americasfamilycoaches.com and click on the Resources tab. Also, if you have a marriage question, you can call 855-ROSBERG and leave a message with your question. We may use your question on a future episode. We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Find out how you can come alongside us when you go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Just search the top of the index for the Donate tab. Thank you for listening in today. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
Marriage, it can be challenging, it can be stressful, and it can be absolutely wonderful. If you and your spouse want to strengthen and enhance your marriage, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg can help through a new video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love. A strong and healthy marriage isn't just about feelings or emotions. It is truly 6 specific and intentional kinds of love. The Rosbergs offer this brand new study looking at the biblical loves and principles of a great marriage experience. This video series and accompanying workbook is rich with discussion and group questions designed for couples in one-on-one marriage coaching or in a small group study. Find out more at americasfamilycoaches.com.